Hi, this is going to be the first tutorial that I am doing to show people how to cross stitch. And this one, well, what I'm doing is I am doing these specifically for my niece because I'm going to teach her how to cross stitch. So I will be addressing things to her. I'm not going to say her name, but address those to her. However, I feel like if anyone else wants to learn how to cross stitch, you can definitely benefit from this. So in this first tutorial, it's not really going to be a tutorial. It's going to be just showing you the basic supplies that you need for stitching. And you don't need to have anything really expensive. You can make this craft as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. If you're just learning and if you're not sure whether you are really going to be into it or not, I would suggest going with cheaper things just to get the feel for it. I'm trying not to shake the camera here. I've got it on a stand, but the table was shaking just a little bit. So anyway, I'm going to show you just the basic supplies that you need. And of course, if you really get into it, you can branch out from there. So one of the basic things that you need is going to be fabric. And this is called Ada. And I will show you, I'm not going to unwrap this one, but I will show you what it actually looks like. This company is Loops and Threads. This is not considered really high quality Ada, but it gets the job done if you're learning. This is 14 count. It's a 15 inch by 18 inch. Now 14 count means that, let me show you on the one I have open here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm still trying to get used to my stand, so you may see some of that. I'm not going to edit this out because it is what it is right now, and hopefully I'll get better as we go. So as you can see, these are squares, and this is an even weave type of cloth so that you see everything, all the rows are even, and it makes it really easy to find where you need to stitch. So when it says 14 count, what it's talking about is that there are 14 of these little squares per inch. So if I were to put a ruler up here, you would be able to see that in 1 inch, you're going to have 14 squares. For older teenagers and for adults, when they're beginning to stitch, this is a good count to stitch on, and you definitely want Ada. There are different types of cloth or fabric. But this is where you want to start because your goal is just to learn how to do the craft. It's not to see what kind of fancy material you can get, because there are all kinds of different colors, and you have linens and what we call a general even weave, Lugana, that kind of thing, and you just don't, as a beginner, you don't really need to get into that, but this is one thing that you definitely need. Okay, then another thing, now this is optional actually. This is called a hoop, and as you can see there, what you do here is you unscrew this. And actually, I'm going to do it on the plastic one, it's a little easier. Same mechanism, you unscrew it, and what it does is it loosens this inner hoop, and you put the inner hoop. Now, I cut this material where it won't fit, but you put the hoop there, and then you put this over it, and then screw it on, where it makes the material really tight. Now, I like my hoops, and then I'll just slide that back in. And I also like what's called a Q-snap, which I will show later. Q-snap is not necessary, but it makes it even tighter than the hoop. I like my fabric really tight because I feel like I get better, more even stitches that way. There are some stitchers who really don't like to use the hoop. They like to have that material. They like the feel of it in their hands as they're working. And so if you're holding it, which sometimes if it's really small, I have to hold it too. But if you're holding it while you're stitching, that's called stitching in hand. And young ladies used to do that a lot back in the 19th century when they were creating samplers. And so that's something that a lot of stitchers still do. But my preference is to use a hoop or a Q-snap. Some people even use what's called a frame. And it's kind of like it makes your work scroll and you roll it as you go. But I'm going to start with hoops right here. And then when you're learning how to do this, you can decide whether you really want to use a hoop or not. It's entirely up to you. One thing about cross stitch is that there aren't really any rules to it. There are just best practices. And even with having best practices, it's still about what you're comfortable with. So this is a wooden hoop. I started out using a wooden hoop, and then when I saw the plastic hoops and I tried those, I liked the feel of them much better. I don't like wooden hoops at all now, so I don't use them. However, for my niece, I'm going to be sending her a hoop, probably two. I'll probably send her both of these. I'm getting ready to mail her some of this stuff. But I'm going to send her a plastic hoop as well so that she can see if she likes the hoop. She may not like a hoop at all, but if she does, then she'll have the opportunity to try all of these and figure out what's going to work for her. Another thing that you need are needles. This is size 24. It's an average size for a needle. These are tapestry needles. And let me see if I can get this up here really close. I'm not going to open this to get the needles out, but I'll do the best I can to show you. These have more blunt edges than a regular sewing needle, and the eye is like longer and thinner. So these are much better for cross stitch. You don't really want sharp. You don't want the points to be too sharp because they can pierce the fabric too much. The blunt end is just fine. That's all you need because the holes are there in the fabric for you. You don't really have to put holes in there. Size 24 is good for 14 count, sometimes 16 count. Some people will use a higher count like 26 and 28 when they get up to 16 and 18 count so that it doesn't make their holes a lot larger. I use 18 count Aida sometimes, and I use a 24 with it, and I don't really see a whole lot of difference. So again, that's your preference, but I'm going to start her out with 24. And this little thing is a case where she can put her needles in there. There are different types. Of course, DMC is like the big name in cross stitch. So what you do is you just open this, you slide it open, and then there's a little magnet in here. And so all you do is you take your needles out of this package, and then you put them in here, and they're going to automatically stick to that magnet. And then when you're ready, you just slide it open and you take one of those out. So I'm going to give her one of these as well. I had an extra one around. And another basic thing that you need are scissors. You don't want just any old pair of scissors though. You don't want to just go pick up scissors at the dollar store or something, although that would be awesome. These are specifically embroidery scissors. And embroidery scissors, and it doesn't have to be DMC, but the embroidery scissors are shorter. They have a very narrow, sharp tip. The blades it's very sharp. You do not want to use your embroidery scissors for anything else other than your stitching. So these need to be preserved specifically for your stitching. And then we are going to sew with some floss. All of this is DMC. There are many different types of floss. DMC is probably one of the cheaper ones. It is made out of Egyptian cotton. Not all of them are, but this definitely is. And of course you can see their DMC logo there. They have color numbers, and there are color names. You can go online and find the list of color names, but like there's this 321. And this, I'm going to actually take one of these apart so that you can see what it is made out of a little bit later. I'll probably do that in the tutorial actually, and not here right now. But I'm giving her several skeins of different colors so that she has different ones that she can, when she's learning to practice her stitches, she'll have a wide variety of choices here. This is color fast, and color fast simply means that if you decide to wash your fabric once you have stitched on it, it will not bleed. And I can guarantee you right now, as many years as I have used DMC, it will not bleed, not even the red. Nothing will bleed. And so I use this a lot because I really like being able to wash my work. If you use floss that is not color fast, and there are many hand-dyed flosses out there, and they're beautiful. However, you cannot wash your work when it's done. And we'll get into that later, why it's really important to wash your work, but you won't be able to do it because it's not color fast, and those colors will bleed and your work will be ruined. All the work you've done will be ruined. So I am giving her this array of DMC floss where she can wash work that she does with this, and she will not have to worry about that at all. All right, and let's see. Now I want to tell you right now, you don't have to have this. I like these. These are called needle minders, and I really like them. They're magnets. They're little fancy magnets. And so this one's a little one, and you can take the back off and then slide it back on. The back goes on the back of the fabric, and then this front goes on the front. And then when you put your needle on there, it will stay. So like if you're changing threads, if you have to remove floss from your needle, then you can park your needle there. You just put it on there until you're ready to use it again, and that way you don't lose it. You can go to any store and buy a magnet and then just let your needle rest on it. You don't have to have anything fancy. Needle minders, depending on where you buy them, they're not really expensive, but some can be. And so I'm not saying that you need to go out and buy this really cute little needle minder, because again, I would not invest much money at all in anything like that. You don't even have to get a magnet. I mean, what you can do is just put your needle right back in here. As long as you've got some kind of magnet or something where you won't be constantly losing your needle, then you're fine. And then if you really get into it and you decide you really like it, then if you like the needle minders, then you can invest in those. I like them. I don't buy a ton of them because they are expensive, but I'll buy them occasionally. And that's more like a little treat for Carla. Okay, these are called bobbins. And there are many different ways that you can store your thread or your floss. Some people use those terms interchangeably. But I will show you in probably the next tutorial when I'm showing specific types of stitches. I'll show you how to take this and put it on a bobbin. And we do use this term bobbinate as a verb. This is cross stitch, it's stitch and ease. Okay, it's cross stitch talk. But this is just one way to store your thread, and I'm going to start my niece out this way, And then if she decides she wants to store hers in a different way, whether it's in little baggies or I'm kind of moving to floss drops myself, then she can do that. But we're going to start her out with that. Now, this is not a necessity, but I do want to show this. Okay, these are little containers that I bought at Kroger. And typically they hold salad dressing. Okay, so I bought them. And this container, usually you can buy either 2 in a pack or 4, so they're relatively inexpensive. So this is where I keep these are leftover pieces of floss when you are snipping your thread, and then I put them in here so that they're not just all over the place. Now, stitchers call these ORTs, O-R-T, stands for Old Ratty Thread. Some of them actually keep these, and then they'll put them inside clear Christmas ornaments or things like that. So they use them for different things. I don't use mine. I don't like them. I think they're ugly. So I'm just being honest. Some people think they look really cool. So what I do is when I'm working on one project for about a week or so, I will just keep filling this up. And then when I get done and I get ready to start on another one, I'll just dump it out, start fresh. Now this one, and I learned this little trick from a lady named Jean Farish. She has a floss tube channel, and she is a cross stitch designer. But these are cut up pieces of sponge, and I soak them each week. I change them out about once a month because sponges can get really nasty. But you run your thread along that sponge to get it wet, and it really helps to straighten it out, and it makes your stitches look a little bit better. You don't have to do that. This is not necessary, but I like using these, and I keep these together. So I bought her. Hers look a little different, but she'll have choices of like what color lid she wants to use. And hers are a little bit lighter, but it's the same concept. So she'll be getting those. And then this is a kit. This is a starter kit. So this is from Dimensions, which is a good company. And this is 11 count, Ada. So when we're talking about 11 count, that means that when you put a ruler on here and it shows an inch, you will have 11 squares per inch. This design has only full cross stitches, which is the simplest stitch that you can do in cross stitch. And it does have some back stitching. That's actually pretty simple. A lot of stitchers don't like back stitching, and I still haven't figured that out because it doesn't bother me a bit. Back stitching is fine with me. I think it's pretty simple. But this is a very simple pattern. And what you get with this, and I can't actually show you the pattern itself. I'm going to show you how to follow a pattern. I'll show you an example from something I come up with, but for copyright reasons, I cannot show you this pattern. But it has the thread that comes with it. This is probably a 3-inch plastic hoop. Here's your Ada, and then your pattern is going to be here. Now, I am sending this to my niece. Once she learns how to do the basic stitches, then she's going to be working on this kit. I bought a second one so that she can watch me doing this, and I probably will not. I will show on here just for you all how to follow a pattern, but I will have to do probably private videos to show her how to follow this particular pattern. Again, for copyright reasons, I cannot publish a video, put it out in the public where you see the pattern, because this is a Dimensions pattern, and what can happen is somebody can get it from the video and they can use that pattern without having actually bought it, and that's not fair to the Dimensions company that created it. So that's why if you watch any floss tube videos, they cannot show you the pattern, and it's for that reason. So she will get that. And then the very last thing I'm going to show is this. This is not a normal, let me see if I can pull back a little bit so you can see it. There we go. Okay. So this is not a normal, what we call project bag. This is, oops, turn my light out on me. There we go. This is going to look awesome, isn't it? So, this is a bag that actually other crafters might use, but I figure this will be enough, and it's big enough for the stuff that she needs. And I can't get this completely unzipped, but you know, it's got a liner inside the bag, so it's a nice little bag. And if she does decide that she doesn't really care for this, then she can still use this bag for other things. But I didn't want to invest a whole lot in a really nice project bag until like later on. If she really gets into the craft, then she can buy better bags. But we're going to start out with this just to keep everything in one spot. So, and then I got her another. I've got two of these for her. And so those are the basic things that you need to get started with cross stitch. And so I will be mailing these to my niece so that she will be able to get started. And hopefully this has inspired someone else to possibly start with this craft. And I will be doing other tutorials and putting them out there for you to take advantage of or not, entirely up to you, but I thought it might help somebody who was really interested and wanted to start. So I will see everybody later.